We's been told to, Mr Chair.
Honourable Nanaia Mahuta.
Sorry to cut off my colleague, but I wanted to raise a couple of questions with the Minister, and I'm seeking some clarification. Firstly, it seems to me that in principle, I need to say that the purpose of the bill to improve information sharing between border agencies is well supported, but the devil will be in the detail and the implementation. So the fact that the bill refers to a review at 5 years and before 6 years, I think is a positive thing, and it's an important element of ensuring that the operational practice of implementing the intent of this bill has been achieved effectively. The questions that I have for the Minister, which I'm seeking clarification on, relate to the level of discretion given to the Chief Executive, and in particular I'm looking at Clause 22.2 of the bill, and in my initial reading of that clause, it seems to me that the Chief Executive is given quite a wide-ranging brief in terms of his or her ability to exercise discretion, and that's a matter that if the Minister was inclined to take a question, it would be this: is he comfortable with the level of the discretion that the Chief Executive is able to exercise in relation to this bill, and is he convinced that it is a matter that does not require review, because it could be a simple fix that as the aspects of information sharing is reviewed at 5 years or 6 years, then the level of discretion exercised by the Chief Executive could be subject to that review also. And if the Minister did take the opportunity to respond to that question, the other part would be in relation to the collection of penalties, or the setting of penalties and the rates. Now, it's not clear to me whether the calculation of penalties are reasonable. And I think it's a fair question. Obviously, to say that the penalties have not been addressed over a period of time and they need to be looked at, I don't dispute that. My question to the Minister is, on what basis did he determine that the setting of penalties was a reasonable amount and something that was justifiable? In reading Clause 128B and the amount of discretion that is implicit in this that the Chief Executive can exercise, again, the question to the Minister is he comfortable with that? He may well in fact respond by saying that my reading of that section is entirely wrong, and I accept that. But it implies that the Chief Executive has the ability to exercise discretion over the amount of a penalty that could be attributed to offences under this particular provision. Can I also say that with relation to the explanation of other agencies other than border agencies having access to information that is collected on the database, and one of the submissions I understand was given by the Auckland International Airport, and that they argued that it was important to have access to this information so that they could make some timetabling decisions around staffing at the airport. While I have some sympathy to that argument, my main concern, if we're going to deal with the issue of border control, is that this is primarily an issue of ensuring that those border agencies that are tasked with ensuring security at the border are the primary utilisers of the information. I think that the airport, while I have some sympathy for their position, I don't think that they are the type of external agency to border agencies that should have a huge amount of access to information that has been collected on this particular database. If I'm to understand the way in which the bill is, Mr Chair?
Honourable Nanaia Mahuta.
If I am to understand the way in which this bill is constructed, it's not intended that the airport company or, for that matter, cruise ship companies or services or duty-free kind of services for cruise ship terminals, they wouldn't have kind of an in-depth, detailed amount of information from the system, but it is again worth asking the question to the Minister that as this matter is being reviewed, is it the Minister's intention that the primary responsibility and objective of the bill is focused at border agencies and not in large part to external agencies, because we must be absolutely confident in this House when we pass laws to do with our border that our primary focus is on security at the border. So with that in mind, I'm hopeful that the Minister will take a call on those questions. I've been very specific and so as not to waste the time of the House, but it's been encouraging to see that the Select Committee spent some time going through this bill and making some useful amendments to ensure that it can pass with the support of Labour and other parties in the House. I encourage the Minister to take me up on my offer to respond to those questions. They are genuine ones, and they're ones that I've considered are useful and may help with the clarification, certainly in the Hansards and in the reading of the bill as it is intended by the Minister, to help in the interpretation and utilisation for successful implementation of this particular bill.
Chairman.
Honourable Morris.
Just to answer a couple of the questions raised either by the Honourable Trevor Mallard or by